Now that you generally know how Google Analytics collects data, let's examine the Analytics account structure.
Google Analytics accounts are set up hierarchically. Each account can have multiple properties, and each property can have multiple views. This can help you organize your analytics data to reflect your business. Accounts, properties, and views let you apply configuration settings at each level to determine what data you want to include, exclude, or modify when it's collected and processed. It's important to be thoughtful when setting up your account because you can't change data once it's been processed by Google Analytics. Krista, you've worked on hundreds of Google Analytics implementations. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about Analytics accounts?
Sure. The Google Analytics account is a way for you to organize how data is collected from all of your websites and manage who can access that data. Typically, you would create separate accounts for distinct businesses or business units. Each Google Analytics account has at least one property that can independently collect data using a unique tracking ID that appears in your JavaScript tracking code. Each account can have multiple properties, so you can collect data from the different websites, mobile applications, or other digital assets associated with the business. For example, you may want to have separate properties for different sales regions or different brands. This allows you to easily view the data for an individual part of your business, but keep in mind, this won't allow you to see the data from separate properties in aggregate.
Just as each account can have multiple properties, each property can have multiple views. These views are where you can see reports for the Google Analytics data collected. You can use a feature called filters in your configuration settings to determine what data you want to include, exclude, or modify in each view. For example, the Google Store sells merchandise from their website across different geographical regions. They could create a global view that includes all of their website data, as well as different views for North America, Europe, and Asia. Then they could use those views to see reports that only contain data for those individual regions. If the Google Store wanted to see data based only on external traffic that didn't include their own store employees, they could also set up a view that filtered out internal traffic based on IP address.
At the view level, you can also set Google Analytics goals. Goals are a simple way to track conversions or business objectives from your website. A goal could be how many users signed up for an email newsletter, or how many users purchased a product. We'll discuss goals and conversions in a later lesson. Before we move on to user access permissions, there are a couple things to note about views that are really important. New views only include data from the date the view was created and onwards. When you create a new view, it will not include past data. You can only set up 25 views per property, and if you delete a view, only administrators can recover that view within 30 days. Otherwise, the view will be permanently deleted.
You can assign permissions to other users at the account, the property, or the view level. Each level inherits permissions from the level above it. For example, if you have access to an account, then you have the same access permissions to the properties and views underneath that account. But if you only have access permissions for a view, then you won't have permissions to modify the property or account associated with that view. By clicking the Admin tab, Google Analytics lets you set user permissions for managing users, edit, collaborate, or read and analyze. Managing users lets users add or remove user access to the account, property, or view. Edit lets users make changes to the configuration settings. Collaborate allows users to share things like dashboards or certain measurement settings. And finally, read and analyze lets users view data, analyze reports, and create dashboards, but restricts them from making changes to the settings or adding new users.
How you configure your accounts, properties, and views can affect what data you collect and the quality of that data.
That's totally right, Krista. You should be very thoughtful when setting up your Google Analytics implementation, and make sure you align your properties and views of the data you collect with your overall business structure.